And remember, Barbara, it's the laptop across the cables, so you kind of have to speak a little bit loud to make sure they can hear you.
Yes, I'm a quiet speaker, so hopefully we'll get some of these bugs worked out.
Yeah.
So quiet speakers like myself. Well, anyways, I welcome everybody. I would like to call the meeting of the Cascade Speakeasy, July 26th meeting to order. Thank you everyone for suffering through this hybrid test run. We already have a list going of items we need to fix. So, but thank you. And Jackie, thank you for speaking today. And hopefully we'll be able to hear your entire speech. So, and maybe I'll quit looking up. All right, I'm going to pass it to Ron.
Thank you, Madam President. If you would all please rise. Listen to my voice. Focus on the flag and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated.
Oh, there's she.
Okay. Oh, wait a minute.
All right. So I have to say that since my computer's being used for something else, my script is not in front of me, so bear with me. So our Toastmaster today is
I feel real special today because I get to reinitiate in-person meetings as the Toastmaster. I'm not sure where I should stand, and I'm apparently visible. I'll stand right here and begin the meeting. Tonight's meeting looks like it's got plenty of enthusiasm. I think it's interesting that our in-person and what do we call it, a hybrid meeting is being tested by the husband-wife team, one in each camp, just to make sure it works well. Good news. Tonight we have done pretty well with our crew. We've had to implement a couple of changes. Kathleen is going to take on the role tonight in place of Dean Carath, who's praying for an end to the fires in Winthrop from Seattle. She will take his timer role, and she's also taking Pat's role as grammarian. Heroic. Thank you. Counter tonight will be done by Rob in place of Selena Danko, who is busy doing something else. That is the extent of our changes. I'm going to ask if someone has a joke of the day.
I have one on my desk. I can say a funny story.
Do.
Okay, so being a
Barbara's
director.
telling us a funny story.
Okay, being a director, it's job duties is assigned. So the women's restroom toilet broke. This is a really short one. And when I was reporting it, I was notified that it had been broke for some time. And so my reply was, sorry, we sat on it. I call it a dad joke.
Thank you for that moment of levity. With that, I'm going to turn the meeting over to our general evaluator tonight. That's Eric Stepper. Please welcome him to the podium.
Are you gonna be able to attend the whole meeting, Christina? Do you want to be timer? Or should you not?
Probably not. We have grandkids here and it's just never know when they're going to erupt and come upstairs. So right now they're downstairs. I'll stay on as long as I can.
All right, I am the general evaluator. I'm going to evaluate the whole meeting. But as always, I've got a team
that will help me evaluate. We have one speech with Jackie Graybill, and evaluating that speech is very exciting.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. It's hard to know where to look. There's Jackie. So I'll just
Address
And
everyone.
rotate. I will rotate. I will be evaluating Jackie Graybill's speech tonight. Jackie is working on the strategic relationships pathway, and she's on level 3. She's doing the elective for the level 3. The purpose of this project is for the member to practice delivering social speeches in front of an audience. Jackie is selected to pay tribute, a speech to honor an individual, and this will be in the form of a eulogy. Timer, the speech is 3 to 4 minutes. Thank you.
And speaking of timing tonight will be done by Kathleen. What's the time?
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be the timer tonight. We have a timer because we don't like people to drone on and on and on. Important to gather your thoughts, be thoughtful but concise. I will be timing several speeches. I'm going to go through them correctly. One speech is 3 to 4 minutes. I am guessing that green will be at 3.
I'm sorry, 3 to 4 minutes. You're
3,
You're right.
3.5, yellow. Red at 4. We'll also be doing our table topics, which are 2 minutes. In table topics, I will have the green at 1 minute, yellow 1.5, and red at 2. Are there any, evaluation.
Yes.
We have the evaluation. Evaluations are 3 minutes, am I right?
2 to 3 minutes.
2 to 3 minutes. 2. 2.5 will be yellow. 3 minutes red. Anything else? Thank you.
We also have a grammarian, and Kathleen is so excited to have her do that she's going to do double duty, and she could be grammarian. Kathleen, what is the grammarian's duty today?
Mr. General Evaluator. The grammarian's duty today will primarily be the word of the day, because the grammarian will be busy timing things and not be able to make note of all the wonderful things and fascinating grammar that you will use tonight. Here is the word of the day in honor of Jackie. It's British. Kerfuffle. Kerfuffle. It means a commotion or fuss, especially one caused by conflicting views. Today we had a kerfuffle at the beginning of our meeting as we figured out how to do hybrid meetings. Kerfuffle, the word of the day.
Yay! We also have an outcome today. I'm going to have to do medical exercises next meeting I come to. And our outcome today is wrong.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Punctuate that silence with needless and unnecessary noises and words. I don't want to create a kerfuffle, but it's important that all of you know when you're using those needless, unnecessary words. My role tonight is to note those in hopes that it will help you become more accomplished speakers. I will make my report at the end of the meeting. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator.
That is my team, and we are ready to go. go, and I'll hand it back over to you.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Tonight, we'll be hearing from Jackie, who will be giving us a short speech from her level 3 elective strategic relations pathway called Deliver Social Speeches Project. This is the second of 2 short social speeches and is a version of what Jackie will say during the funeral for her late grandpa, Jack, this Friday. Join us in the somber moment as Jackie gives us her speech.
I have the honor to be named after my grandpa Jack. My name is Jackie. As a child, I always thought about seeing my grandpa Jack with a little bit of trepidation because I knew what was coming. I would see him, I would look up at him, I would grimace, and then he would go, "How's it going, kid?" And he'd give me a big old slap on the back, and it would hurt, and I would groan. But then I would look up, and I couldn't help but break into a smile when I looked up at his infectious grin. It reached his eyes, which crinkled up with laughter, with love, and with understanding. There was never a time where I ever interacted with my grandpa Jack that I ever felt judged or anything less than loved unconditionally. My grandpa had a magnetism to him. He had a gift for relationships and for being able to connect with people. This has become evident to me by all the messages flooding in over social media when I posted that he had passed away. People that I had no idea he even knew, like Aaron and Christina. It's just amazing. And their messages show the incredible love and affection that people had for him because he gave it to them. If you are here today to honor him, then you know what I mean. You have been impacted by his life, and you may not have my name to live on. He lives on in me because I have his name, but he lives on in all of us every time we smile, every time we say hello to somebody and listen genuinely to what they have to say without judgment. When our smiles reach our eyes and crinkle up, those are the moments when my grandpa Jack and his legacy live on. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. It was beautiful. Well done. Can we have a moment on the clock, please, to share our thoughts for Jackie's speech?
I think we're going to do verbal comments.
Could be,
We are.
a minute would be nice. Because we can't send.
Oh. Okay. Then let's all have a turn.
Oh, after I do the evaluation,
Oh,
then we can do a round robin.
Yes, I think that'd be
Of
appropriate.
course, I don't want you to influence.
I'm providing a minute of note taking here.
Thank you.
okay, let's do that.
1 minute, Mr. Postmaster.
Thank you. I've got a couple of things I'm going to add here, so take just a moment.
As the Sergeant of Arms, I just want to welcome Fabiola for joining us this evening. It's good to see you again.
Okay, good. I'll get back to that then. And we'll continue on with our meeting as everyone wraps up their thoughts. We now move into the next segment of our meeting, which is the opportunity to speak extemporaneously, and Lloyd Smith will share with us everything about that. Lloyd Smith is our table topics master. Lloyd, excuse me, we also have Alicia.
Oh, okay. We have another guest logging in. Let's wait till she actually gets in.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I think she's here. Yes, welcome, Alicia.
She's muted.
Let's carry on. Okay. Tonight's theme is dues. When I first read that, I thought, why is tonight's theme dues? There are dues for Toastmasters, but they are not due. So the next round is not due until October 1st. Yeah. Well, for some mysterious reason, our theme is due. So I have some thoughts about that, or actually, I'm hoping you have some thoughts about that. Maybe you'll be better at it than I am. That great British philosopher Ringo Starr once said, if you want to sing the blues, you gotta pay your dues, and you know it don't come easy. Barbara, is that true? Do good things in life require the payment of dues?
I'm just gonna go with my gut here and say no. That no, we don't always have to pay our dues. I'm gonna argue with Ringo Starr. I'm so sorry. I think that it requires a lot. It requires a lot of us, but we can also have really good things happen to us just by wonderful things happen to us just by walking outside and smiling. And it doesn't require any dues. I'm struggling here with this one. I'm sorry.
I think you're struggling. I gotta come up with a bunch of times. You just had to come up with it last week. Well, now that Barbara's reaffirmed her faith in blind luck. Does that account for how you got your exalted position?
I did pay my dues.
Well, dues are an interesting thing. I'm in several organizations, and it's hard to understand why the dues are what they are, if you see what I mean. For example, there are other speech organizations which charge far more dues than Toastmasters. Toastmasters is pretty cheap when you get down to it, and others that charge a lot more. So, organization that dues that you think should be other than what they are, you consider meeting it.
Table topics master. I am in several organizations where I pay dues. It's always too much. That's not really true. I'm in Rotary. We pay dues in Rotary quarterly. We've just revised our dues structure because we would like to attract other people to our clubs, particularly younger people and couples. If you're under 40, you get a discount on your dues. I had some discomfort with that, being substantially over 40. We did that for a year. It turns out it doesn't really matter to people. We didn't attract anyone based on reducing the dues for young people. I guess our dues are low enough that it wasn't an obstacle. A few months ago, we changed it, unless you were grandfathered. Now we are no longer looking for young people. We are looking for young people, but we are not giving them a discount to join. They will get the pleasure of our company, our community service projects, and our fundraising opportunities, especially our Apple Century Bike Ride, which is coming up September 25th. For all of you cyclists, or if you just would like to donate to it. Thank you.
All right.
Way to make something out of nothing. There is an expression that I guess could apply to dues. You get what you pay for. And Kathleen kind of alluded to this. Suppose you drop the dues way down and you don't attract people. Now, logic tells you should, right? It's kind of like having a sale if you think about it. So, Steve, what do you think? Why do people not respond necessarily to a sale of dues?
Thank you, Lloyd. I take exception, or I am the exception to that notion. I frequent the internet and watch art videos, instructional videos, and there's one particular master oil painting site that I had come upon and watched, and they were charging $57 a month. And I thought, much as I love to watch that, ain't part of $57 a month. They had a special this month, $18 a month, 67% off. I'm all over it. I remember. There is the line of thinking that people will take for granted something that they don't truly have to pay for, which is why they don't necessarily rise to the bait for reduced membership fees or subscription fees, because all of a sudden it's like, well, if they're that cheap, could there really be any substance or value to be gained from it? I think I'll pass. I just think that I'm truly the outlier on that whole deal, because if I see something that I believe there's value in and the price goes down, I'm happy to jump on board. But I think a lot of people subscribe to that notion that I want to feel like I'm paying and getting the substance that comes as a result of the price that's charged. And I think there is some true reality to that. If I use my art analogy, Etcher.com, for $6, you get an hour to an hour and a half video. They're tailored to beginner artists. Once they hook you, you're up to $35 to $79 per video to go to the next level. And that's where I think people realize that if they're paying more money, they're going to get a better value. Thank you, Mr.
Well, these will begin to sound like they're similar because they are. I'm just going to try to restate them. Christina, one of the interesting things about teaching school that I saw was that a lot of kids are very ambitious. They want to be Bill Gates, say, but they're not very interested in doing what it takes to become Bill Gates. So how do you overcome that with kids? Make them understand that there's a link, and ideally anyway, a link between effort and achievement.
Thank you, Lloyd. There was a quote on an ad for the Olympics earlier today that I thought was excellent. And the ad itself was a group of young people. It said, you can't start with perfection, but you have to start where you are to achieve perfection. You're not going to be perfect out of the gate, but you start where you are and you work at it, and you work at it a little every day, more the next day, set goals, and eventually you will achieve the goal you want to achieve. It's unfortunate, especially television, makes it look like you can achieve anything in an hour with 15 minutes of commercials included. That persistence, that nose to the grindstone is something I think everyone needs to learn. It does feel to me like this Generation Z is going to have maybe a harder time learning that than we did when we were young, because we didn't have as many distractions. We didn't have all the social media, all of the mass messages coming at us, bombarding us continually like people do now. I think just assuring them that if they really want to achieve something, make those goals, keep working at it. Don't let anybody tell you no. And one day you will. Thanks, Lloyd.
Thank you, Christina. Fabiola, thinking of dues, have you ever, in effect, paid dues, worked hard, paid money, whatever, and had the feeling you did not get a value, it didn't get much in return for it? If so, describe that experience.
Thank you for that question. That is a challenging question for me to give a negative response to, because luckily I have had the experience where I've paid dues and I have felt that I've received value. The dues that come to mind are gym. I know that we pay gym dues, and sometimes some people take advantage of that and go to the gym every day, and others go every once in a while, or they just continue to pay their dues and don't go to the gym. But for me, luckily, I have had a good experience where I do find value and take advantage of those opportunities that are presented to me. And I just take advantage of that. So thank you.
You're right, that was a challenging question. When I sat down, I thought, oh, you know, I might have pushed her into a corner on me, but that was an excellent job of flipping the question over, which is what you have to do if it doesn't work out for you very well. Dues, I'm thinking we're in a building that's owned by a library system. So there's the kind of due like overdue, as in books and whatnot. I wish I had thought of this question. Every now and then, in fact, about last week, you read about somebody who has turned in a library book like 56 years after its due date or something. The theoretical fine will be in the tens of thousands of dollars, and usually they make a big deal out of saying, "Oh well, it doesn't matter. Thanks a lot," you know, and probably enjoy the publicity of it. But Vicki, do you think they should go ahead and go after them for dues if somebody owes 50 grand over fees on the book?
Thank you, Lloyd. That is a very interesting question, in that you know, I believe that there perhaps should be some sort of penalty if they've been holding on to something that is not theirs and they had agreed to return it at a certain date. However, they never did so. But again, where does that fine lay? Because you said some astronomical amount. Well, I know that there have been lawsuits with Blockbuster Videos, which is out of business now, but there was a time where they had really high priced dues, and if you had that didn't turn in, they would charge you a lot. And there have been times even where people have gone to jail for not paying these dues for videos that, you know, were astronomical fees. I believe that there should be some sort of, you know, grace period. You know, if a person has a very legitimate excuse as to why it didn't get returned in time, then maybe be lenient about it. But I feel that everybody should have some sort of penalty. But at this point, I'm pretty sure that as far as like library books, they've written it off and it may not even be a relevant book anymore. Or they could take it back because it's a classic now and is worth a lot of money and they could sell it, type of thing. Who knows? In fact, going back to the DVDs, or not even DVDs, the VHS from Blockbuster Video, if people were holding on to those Disney titles, those are worth some bucks now. So look in your garage, see if you have any of those VHS tapes now. You might have a lot of money hidden away. Back to you, Lloyd.
You know, and if you're a slow reader, I guess it might take you, 35 years to get through that book. I mean, Hardy Boys is kind of a challenging read.
War and Peace, but.
Yeah, War and Peace, so it's a fun read. Eric, I guess you're the last one here, so you get the leftover question. And as soon as I think about it, I will ask.
I can give you an answer.
This is a terrible thing I don't care about.
Do better. You'll get your dues.
Yeah. Actually, what Steve just said is what I was thinking about. There's a notion that sooner or later we all get what we deserve. We get our dues. Do you think that's true? Do people generally get what they deserve out of life?
I'm in a kerfuffle because this has caused me to revisit a moral dilemma that I've had, and I can't get it out of my head. So I'm going to use you as my support group. Nobody wants to do the accounting, so I do accounting for a lot of groups. I do it for the last 12 years for Toastmasters. And I do it for our irrigation district. And nobody wants to be on that board because they don't want to have to clean the crap out and all that kind of stuff. So they avoid me. They never come to meetings. I don't know if we even have a president. I think I'm probably all the officers at once. But we've got $1,500 in there, which nobody knows about. So what if I invested in some Bitcoin? I mean, maybe we could get the block to retire. So I thanks for let me talk to that because I thought about that more and more. And that's the hell I think.
So pretty soon there's going to be one of those little stories on page 3 of the book where it says that the Jones Street Irrigation District has determined that they've been ripped off by their treasurer. Eric goes to jail. Yeah. Well, we have got through everybody, I guess, since we are going to do. Yes. Stand up, big guy.
This is your chance.
Why on earth did you pick this theme?
Thank you, Mr. Tabletop Master. I knew that everyone would embrace the word of the night, or the theme of the night, and that you would take it by the horns and ask some really titillating questions. Very impressed. Yes, I was the one that chose the theme tonight. I'll be the one that chooses the theme next week. I am going to make sure that they are as stimulating and evocative as the word or the theme this evening. Because I really believe that you've all enjoyed the table topics this evening, and that for the weeks to come, we're going to have more themes that are going to be exciting. You're going to want to embrace these themes, and you're going to come up with some terrific answers. And I just want to thank you for that last question, Lloyd. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
So future themes are going to be just as good as this. Wow. Okay, since we are going to apparently do some oral. Okay, probably a good idea to quit now. Go ahead with the evaluations, then we'll have time to do that. Sorry, back to you, Mr. Postmaster.
Thank you, Lloyd. Maybe you could have hung on to the table for the Toastmasters role. Anyway, I on that topic of dues, do you have to pay your dues to get down the road? I remember a couple of years ago at the Olympics, Michael Phelps tore it up, and they asked him how and why. He said, it's every day until it's automatic to where I don't have to think about it. That's when you achieve that level of greatness that gets you gold medal. For some reason that is just always just stuck in the back of there and popped right up on this topic. I understand next week's topic is going to be waist deep. I think I should probably, what am I doing? Giving it to the general evaluation.
Yay! Let's go back to the evaluation and Mary Sally. This her evaluation of Jackie's speech.
For my evaluation, I am going to look at Jackie, so I'll be looking in here and I'll kind of keep my peripheral vision open for timer. Jackie, I didn't know your grandfather, Jack Graybill, but I wish I had. I think that you painted a picture of a gentleman who had a lot of friends, he cultivated relationships, and he was well loved. In your introduction, you introduced yourself well, you were named after him. I love that you dipped your head down to act as a little child when you were looking at. That was very effective. Over and over, you described his grin, his smile, and his laughter. And I like the buildup from grin, smile, laughter as well. Let's see. I have a couple suggestions for improvement for the introduction. It was a good introduction, but I think it could be better. Do you have an anecdote that you can open with? Tell us what an impact he had. Just tell us a story about him. Or another way you could be effective in the introduction is a conversation between you and your grandfather, something that actually happened. And you were the master at conversations and affecting a voice of somebody else. So I think that would be a super introduction and you would have the audience in your hand. I'm going to give you something to challenge yourself. Usually in a eulogy at a funeral, we speak of all the wonderful things about a person, but maybe you could think of another side of him that's true, that's funny, but not so nice. Maybe there was a kerfuffle that he was involved in that you could bring up, and people would love that. It's unexpected, but you have to make them laugh. It can be tricky, but it can be done. What I liked the most is the touching ending you had where you said that he lives on. Finding something in an individual that lives on in his family and friend is very, very comforting to people. And that's the one part I loved. Keep that part in. Great speech, great eulogy. And now I will turn this over for comments from individuals here. And I think maybe to make it easy, we'll just go around the room.
Eulogies are a tough deal. And I like that you smiled so broadly through it, even through a eulogy, but you smiled so broadly that you just embodied what his smile probably was like. And it was very touching. I appreciate that.
Mike?
Oh, didn't realize you were done.
Short and sweet.
Yeah.
Traumatized by the news question.
Yeah, me too. Jackie, I thought this was really a good eulogy. I agree with what Mary said about it. Eulogies are not easy to give, obituaries are not easy to write. And you had a good tone to it, I think. You
We've lost sound.
You also avoided a trap that I've heard a lot. In fact, last week I was at a celebration of life where the two main speakers spoke a half hour each, and the speeches were just another funny story about Roger, another funny story about Roger, and another. They went on and on and on. You had a speech, you had a point for the organization. If it were me, I would flesh it out in the way that Mary suggested and call it good, because it's a very good core.
Jackie, you are a strong individual. You are amazing to be able to give a eulogy about your grandfather and keep composed and do the whole thing as well as you did. That is impressive. And when I read about your grandfather and I saw his picture in the paper, I didn't even have to look at the caption. I knew that was your grandfather because I saw you in your grandfather.
Kind of took the words out of my mouth. I've gone to funerals and memorials where I really didn't know the person. And I had tears on my cheeks listening to thoughts being shared. And if I had some peripheral thought that I could offer, I ended up choking up and my voice breaks. I applaud you for being strong and talking about someone we love that much and keeping it spot on. Your speaking skills are exemplary. You always have a great presence and you deliver content well. You're informative. Your messages are meaty and provide a complete message. I'm always impressed when I get to hear you speak and look forward to the opportunity to evaluate you. It was well done. It was very well done.
Jackie, I was looking at the clock the whole time. I had two comments. One was that I love the joy in your voice. The whole time I could hear this joy in your voice that carried a big message. You had one sentence that I would rethink. You said, if you are here to honor him. And I have to admit, it gave me a little chuckle because I thought, why else would anyone be here? It was amusing. I don't know. That might be a sentence you would recast. Not to cause a kerfuffle or anything.
Well, Jackie, I could say what everybody else said and just call it a day, but so I'm gonna take a little different approach. I admire your speech. I can say, as somebody who lost a few people during COVID, some loved ones, that it was, I wish I had the opportunity to also speak at, to give a eulogy on them. So on that note, I'm not good at it. And I look at your speaking skills and I can see, even at my old age, that I have something to aspire to. and to be able to confidently speak at a eulogy, hopefully not anytime soon. That you spoke very confidently with love, and it just really shows. And the people you'll be speaking to and about your grandfather are very lucky to have somebody who spent so much time and effort on learning how to speak and learning how to speak correctly and right and beautifully. So it's going to, no matter what you do, it's going to be wonderful.
Vicky, would you care to join?
Jackie, you are amazing, and just this heartfelt speech that you gave about your grandfather, you can just feel the connection that you had with them. And I hope that you do have time within your eulogy to perhaps share a story, because that will even have a greater impact. But the way you ended it, that, you know, he will live on through everybody's smile, that's amazing. So great job.
Oops.
We all froze. Oh, there we go.
Good. And Christina, would you care to add?
I did send Jackie comments in the chat, which you don't get to see from where you are.
Okay.
My father and her grandfather were good friends. So that to me makes this very meaningful. Her words, I remember my parents and her grandparents getting together and being in, gosh, Elks Club and Rotary and all kinds of service organizations working together here in the Valley. Jackie, I would certainly play that up. His dedication to the community and his investment in the community and in it, and people are still reaping the benefit of that today, of his commitment to this valley. That means a lot to me too. Good job, girl. You're going to do great.
Fabiola, would you care to have any comments, or did you chat as well?
I would just like to echo a lot of the comments that everyone has made this evening, but I'd also like to add that your energy and your smile really does bring out the love that you have for your grandfather. And I love that your eulogy is going to be positive and it's going to be a celebration of his life. I think that sometimes that's what's hard of attending funerals, that we feel sad, but I feel that your speech will help everyone heal through the process. And again, it'll be a celebration.
Alicia, I'll give you a pass on this. This is your first time to listen to a speech and an evaluation, but I think this gives you a good sense of what Toastmasters is all about. So all the best to you, Jackie.
Thank you. Can I just say really quick, thank you for all your comments. And I've been given 2 minutes. So that's why this is really helpful to be Toastmasters for the win, to distill it down. Thank you.
Right, okay. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you. Now to the rest of my evaluation team. Kathleen has 2 jobs I didn't run together. It's got to be challenging. Here's the timer's report, and then we'll right into Mary. Kathleen.
Would say that the red card did not get much of a workout tonight.
I did my best.
You did. Let's start with Jackie. Jackie, you were 2 minutes, 49 seconds. Rob, 56 seconds. Barbara, 43. Minute 45 for me.
Shortest speech ever. I'll take that one.
Steve, 2 minutes, 19 seconds. You were the winner. Christina, only 1 second off, 2 minutes, 18 seconds. Fabiola, 1 minute, 4 seconds. Vicky, 1:59. Eric, 1 minute and 5 seconds. For the evaluation, Mary, you were 2 minutes and 34 seconds, so well within the green card. Do I owe you anything else, Mr. General? On this topic?
Oh, I mean, you did a grammarian.
Oh, grammarian. In my role as grammarian, the word of the day was kerfuffle. It was used by 4 people that I heard: Rob, Eric, Mary, and me. If I missed anyone, confess now. Did I miss anyone? One sentence struck me as very interesting, and it was, by the way, after Barbara's speech when he said she had reaffirmed her faith in blind luck. That was it, the phrase of the night.
And the odds.
Thank you, Mr. General. Overall, us has a word that we use quite often, or a sound we use quite often. Yours is and I know that when you join our club, and I'm anxious for you to do that so that you can improve on eliminating that filler word. But that's the filler word that permeates your language. And I know that's probably the reason why you consider joining Toastmasters. So I'm looking forward to that day when you do join our club. Steve, I just want to point out, and I think you were doing this more for effect, that you used the word ain't. And you also said the phrase rise to the bait, which I thought was really cool. So I just wanted to say that was really good. Vicki, you're the only other one that I wanted to say something about. You used once, and then twice you did a fake internet pause. So I'm gonna have to ding you on that. Because I know for a fact that you didn't have an internet break. You were doing that on purpose. Otherwise, everybody else did fantastic. Good job, everyone. And that's my report.
Now, you get all this technology down, but you got to show us where the internet pause button is. We may want to use it. Evaluation Steve, quite frankly, I had trepidation about this meeting. I appreciate all those that work behind the scenes to make this to come together, and I am pleasantly surprised. We've got some things that we can work out and get smoother, but this is awesome. Thank you, Barbara, really. So with that,
My computer's gonna die.
Return your sound.
Yeah, turn yours off and then you can turn mine on.
Speaking of technology.
here's a demonstration right now.
Rob's is muted. Can you unmute Rob's?
Can you hear me now?
We can only
Okay.
see you and we can only see you and Kathleen pretty much though. A tiny bit of Steve's head.
Yeah, they're on my computer right now, but we're not going to get them on the big screen. So we're just going to have to.
There is a question, an important question in chat.
Is there?
From Fabiola.
Let's see.
So that is
Yep.
one thing that we'll want when we have people in the room, is have somebody who's monitoring chat in that room.
Oh. Fabiola, I see your question. It says, I want to be one of the cool kids. We can make that happen. What we'll do is we'll have Eric reach out to you. He is our club treasurer, and he'll get you signed up. So I'm thrilled that you would like to join us, and we'll get that taken care of.
I sent her Eric's email address so she'll reach out to you, Eric, right? Fabiola, you'll send him an email. Okay, she'll send you an email and you can get her set up. There were a few things that happened tonight, just to let you know. When the live group applauds, it cuts out the audio. So after the applause ends, we need to give it a couple seconds before anybody starts talking, because we were losing the very first part of what people were saying when the live applause died down.
Anybody else? Online?
Well, that might change, Christina, once we get Vicky to bring in her Yoda speaker or whatever she calls it.
Yeti.
Yeti.
Yoda. There's a difference between a Yeti and a Yoda.
There is. Big, huge difference.
Quite a difference.
Alicia, do you have any questions for us? You're on mute right now.
Not me.
No, Alicia.
Oh. Alicia?
Okay, there we go. I was trying to find where to unmute myself. I don't have any questions yet, but I did have quite a bit of audio problems where I had a hard time following you guys. And yes, I agree with the clapping. It was hard to understand what was being said, but I'm just chalking it up to my internet way out in Manson. So.
Oh, okay. Thanks for fighting through it.
Alicia, this is the first time we have tried this hybrid thing, so it's new for all of us tonight. Thank you for bearing with us through this.
Oh, it's no problem at all. I'm not all the way technically savvy, but I find myself, I was even having a hard time logging in today. So, and I do Zoom meetings every week at work. So I don't know what was my issue, but no, that's great. I'm glad that this is happening, and I look forward to learning some skills.
Thanks for joining. And now I will turn the meeting over to our president.
I just want to thank everybody for bearing with us while we tried this out. Yeah, it was quite interesting when I first realized I would have a camera for a Zoom meeting. So we will continue to try this experiment, and hopefully, Vicki, with your microphone and a camera, it'll go much smoother next time. And maybe we can just continue the, what is it called? Hands for now. I think that's actually a problem, a lot of problems, loud sounds over video. So we'll have to, I'll keep pushing on that. Anyways, thank you very much. I'll close the meeting at 6:30.
Thank you, everyone. See you next week.